Hey everyone, this is Austin Schur here with We Write About Music, and today I am speaking with Van Scott. He has just released a fantastic new track called Long, Long Time, and I am super excited to talk to him all about it. Thank you so much for coming on today. How are you doing?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, man. Yeah, I'm great. Things are things are awesome. I'm out here right now in New York doing a little Northeast tour, and that's been
Sweet.
fun. Just sharing the new music with people. So
Nice. Well, they deserve to hear it. And you've got this new song out called "Long Long Time," and like I mentioned before we started recording, I love it. I've listened to it 5 times already, and it's just like that perfect earworm that gets caught in there, but it's lighthearted and airy, and it tickles the senses, if that's a thing to say. I really do enjoy it, and the first thing that I'd love to hear from you is what is it all about? What inspired you making this song?
yeah, I mean the song began like I started with the verse, which was it's been a while since I wrote a love song, probably because I haven't been in love for a long, long time.
Yeah.
And so it's just kind of the song itself is how about I've been single for not had basically not had a serious girlfriend in like more than I cared longer than I cared to admit.
Sure.
So it's really just kind of like, you know, I think when I was younger, dreaming of, I thought I'd be married at this point. We all have these like ideas of where we'll be in the future. And it's just taken longer than I thought to find the right person. But so this song is kind of just like I wouldn't say it solves that problem. It's just kind of airing out the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm right there with you because there are too many love songs out there, and it's like, keep your happiness away. What about all the what about all the single people that are
Uh,
basking in their loneliness? So,
right.
thank you for making such a relatable song, truly. Um, Another thing that I have to point out is that first I would recommend that everyone listen to this with a nice pair of headphones because the production
Mm.
is really crisp, and like there's so many subtleties within the mix that you'd be missing out on otherwise. Did
Mm.
you have any outside help putting this together, or how was it created, on the back end?
Yeah, I had some additional production help with my friend Sachi Rodriguez. Actually, part of the reason I'm in New York City is I came out here for school.
Okay.
Uh, Berkeley, Boston started a new master's program in New York City last year. It was their first year doing it. And so I went through that program just so I could get better myself as a writer and a producer.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the production that's going to be on the upcoming album, a lot of the
Right.
production on this song, I did myself.
Oh, wow.
Um, apart from working on this with my friend Sachi, we kind of got the bones going together, and then I kind of polished it off and we finished it off. But it was just us two that wrote it and produced it together.
That's awesome. Congrats on that because I don't think people realize that producing a song is like speaking another language sometimes. It's not as simple as just clicking a button here, clicking a button there. It really is like what program are you using?
So that I used to work mainly in Pro Tools, but through school I
Yeah.
picked up Ableton.
Okay.
So I
That
think it
seems
was
to
kind of
be
a
like
combination.
the
Yeah.
gold standard nowadays.
Yeah, which is I'm
Nice.
glad I went to school for it because otherwise I'd be like
Actually though.
everyone I knew like used to be in Logic, so I
Yeah,
was always kind of the odd one out. But now Ableton seems to be like the new industry standard,
there you go.
which I
Well,
love it now. It's like
yeah,
part of yeah.
totally. You can never watch enough YouTube videos trying to explain to you what the hell to do. Love that.
Right.
Now, as far as the actual sound of the song, it really does incorporate a bunch of different styles and I think a bunch of different genres as well. If you
Mm,
sort of had to give an elevator pitch of what this song is to someone who hadn't listened to it before, how would you describe it?
it's a good question. I think it's just like straight up pop. It's like maybe like one of the like more like commercial pop songs I've written.
Okay,
That's just like, but still like on the alternative side. I don't know. I never really think in terms of if it has enough of a alternative indie twist or things
yeah,
like that. I
you
just kind of
shouldn't.
like I'm very reactionary as a
Mhm.
musician. And I think similarly when it comes to producing, I just kind of run with ideas and it snowballs. So when we started this production, it kind of just started like me on acoustic. So there's like, already like an organic setting to the production.
Sure.
Um, trying to think what else we, it was, yeah, so it had a very like organic guitar bass
Yeah,
as production, and then I just decided to throw it. I have a couple musician friends back in LA that have done a bunch of shows with me, and I just gave it to them. My drummer, Brandon Lynch, threw some great stuff on it. So there's like real drums mixed in with sample drums, and my Nelson Cardenas, my bass player, just threw some live bass on there too. So it just has a nice like organic live feel, but then it's got these touches
totally.
of like synth and atmospheric things that kind of bring it into that more electronic dimension, I guess.
No, that's the perfect describer on it. And I say this type of thing all the time because with like the feature production that we're living in right now,
Yeah,
like people aren't just making one genre anymore. There aren't just acoustic songs and there's not just
yeah,
electronic songs. Like it's becoming everything is a fusion of one another. But I
right.
think that it also sort of helps to capture an audience or multiple audiences.
Mm,
And this is I don't know if general is the word, but there's enough of like a wide reach on it to where like it doesn't really matter what you like. Like this is the song that kind of gets that. I don't know. You know what I'm
nice.
saying? I
Yeah.
think yeah, I think you get it. Looking forward though, are you going to be looking to experiment? Like I know that you have, obviously more music coming out.
Yeah.
Is it going
Yeah.
to be in the same vein, or are we going to see or listen to some new things?
So I think maybe similar to this song itself, this new single, I think the palette is so I put out my first single, Impress You, back in September, and that was kind of the first taste of this new album coming up, and that already has like a different like feel than this one.
Yeah.
um just a slight variance. I think really the common denominator is it's me, it's my
Yeah,
voice, it's
sure.
like the music out of my head, but I think there'll be lots of different flavors. There's like the next song I think I might put out in the new year is more, even more intimate, more like a guitar vocal with like some things swirling around it. But I also have like a couple tracks that are like kind of up tempo, like kind of groovy, like just like driving synth stuff.
Nice.
So I'm really excited to kind of just see. Yeah, it's gonna be a wide palette of music, but I think that's what makes it kind of exciting to listen to.
That is exciting. I mean, do you find that your process of actually starting the song changes at all based on the tone or the mood of the song?
Mm. Um, I mean, a lot of I mean, I play guitar and piano.
Okay.
Songs don't necessarily stay on the instrument I started on.
That's
Um,
yeah, that's
but
normal.
but I think I think I don't know if I can quite get away from the marriage of an organic element.
Yeah.
Uh, Apart from my voice, maybe. Uh, you know, yeah. What am I trying to say? Basically, like, oh man, I lost my thought. But you know what I mean.
I know what you mean. I
Yeah.
completely get it. Now now that you've been through the process of starting a song from beginning to end, and I know that there's so many sometimes speed bumps that happen on the way. Is there anything that you've come across in the process that has really served as a learning experience for the future?
In terms of maybe like trying to finish a song or
Literally
get the song out.
anything. Like, I mean, in terms of, you could say, like, figuring out production stuff or
Yeah.
finishing up a line in the song. Anything
Yeah.
along those lines.
Well, this song actually started, I think, like I was like, I kind of think I want some help finishing this.
Oh,
I
okay.
already had that verse, which I think in my head at the time I thought could be a chorus. Then I shared it with my friend Sashi. She's like, "That's a verse." And then, and then we, you
Right.
know, continued to
Yeah, yeah,
develop.
yeah.
So it's kind of like there's some stuff where I would just rather have another head in the room,
Sure.
because then it also not only because when I already start with an idea, there's already like that part of me. Like if I'm ever worried about losing myself in the process, I don't
Yeah.
have to worry when it starts with something that I um created myself. So like the fact that I had this melody, this idea, um yeah, I think that kept it tied to me as an artist and not just as a writer. And that happens with production stuff too. Like the my album that I put out last summer, a lot of those songs started as demos,
Mm,
and I, in the process worked with a lot of different producers to finish different songs, but I don't think that I ever lost the crux of like what I was doing or what I was going for in any particular song, because a
Sure.
lot of those elements continue to make it into the final product.
Yeah,
But
that's reasonable.
yeah.
And I think just like along the way, you're always figuring it out. I also think that there's a serious amount of pressure as a solo artist because you
Mm,
can't hide behind the name of a band. You know what I
mm.
mean? Like at the same time, you're like, well, like if the song turns out bad, we can just say it was this band member and, sugar ourselves. No, but really, like you hold, because you're always getting feedback in some capacity. And I
Right.
hope that you have people that aren't just telling you, yeah, this is great, and actually being honest with you. That's maybe one of the most important things.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, as you go on, you figure it out and you keep certain people in your life who can be honest. So I get it. Um, Now, I don't know if you have been playing shows in the past or if you have things in the future, but I'd love to hear about like what that looks like for you and if you have anything upcoming that you'd like to talk about.
Yeah. Let's see. I mean, I still have 2 dates coming up in
Sweet.
November.
Okay.
I have,
That's right around the corner.
yeah, Baltimore and DC. I'm doing 2 so far shows.
Oh yeah. Oh,
Um,
nice, nice.
yeah, they've been really great. I basically connected with them in July, and all the shows I've done in the past like few months have been so far shows, which I love because it's just I don't have to worry about ticket sales. They take care of that.
Right.
They pay their artists, and the audience is always really attentive. So I feel like
Totally.
I always leave with some new fans and sell some merch. So it's as a artist that's still kind of just starting out, it's a great way to like develop like a grassroots following versus
Totally.
a local bar and just like I hope everyone likes
Pay
it,
attention to me, please.
Listen to me, quiet, everyone.
Seriously. No, I love this so far. Like, I've been to a bunch of shows out here on the West Coast that they do. And you're totally right. The people that are going to so far shows are clearly interested in music. They're either going to support a friend that's playing, obviously, or they're
Right.
just legitimately interested in independent artists. It's
Yeah.
not like showing up to a concert at your local venue and just like, oh, I've heard a few songs from this band. Like, no, you go to discover. So that's a great kind of like track to be on right now. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And as we're nearing the end of the year, I can't even believe that we're like at the end of October, basically. Um, Idealistically and with lofty goals, do you have an idea of what the next year looks like in your life?
It's a good question. I've been like it's on my to-do
I
list. It's like,
know. Right.
what are my short-term
Well, we're
goals?
gonna figure it out right now.
I'm trying I'm actually had uh just trying to figure out who I could open for that
Yeah.
reaching out to some different artists that I've come into contact with because I used to be a background singer in
Oh,
LA, and a lot of my friends tour with like big acts like Coldplay and Miley Cyrus, and
but
not that I'm trying to get in there, but it's
well, I
just like
mean,
I'm just trying to work that network, and hopefully eventually the right thing will come up where I can open for a bigger artist and get larger opportunities. So I'm still working on that. I don't
totally.
I'm still like a one-man team, not just a one-man band, but like a
Yeah,
one-man team. So I'm still figuring out how to reach out to people, and I'm probably nearing the point where I need a manager and stuff like that. But to like really answer your question, the goal is to be able to share this next album over the next several months and basically have about 10 songs and the completion of this album out by the summer of
okay.
next year. So I'm really just focused on kind of bringing people in along for the journey because
Yeah,
this whole album is kind of a reflection on my whole love life. And I want people to kind of experience those similar emotions along with me. And yeah, like you said, like if I can relate to people and give them the right song to cry to or just like get in their
totally.
feels, then I'm doing
Exactly.
my job.
That's what it's all about. I also want to go back to something you said about it just being you. It's Yeah, that's another thing that people don't realize about being an independent artist is for the most part, like you're the one scheduling everything and doing all the social media and promotion for yourself and, yada yada. But like at the same time, you're a musician, like there should be fun elements to this and you don't want to burn yourself out. And you have to
Right.
keep those goals and obviously try to work towards them. but to
Right.
not take it overly seriously to the point where you're, killing yourself over it. So
Yeah.
obviously it's good to have loose plans, but you can't in today's music industry, it's impossible to plan for anything.
Right. Right.
You just kind of figure it out.
Totally.
I've got a couple more questions for you, and
Yeah.
I'll keep this one lighthearted for the most part.
Yeah.
What are you listening to nowadays? Is there anything that's popped up on your playlist, or even local artists that you can recommend that you think are just crushing it right now?
Well, maybe local in the sense I consider myself bi-coastal at the moment,
Yeah,
and
local, the world,
so local.
whatever.
One of my friends, Madeline, who I was one of the co-writers on my first single that came out,
Okay,
"Impress You," in September. She is just one of my favorite voices right now. Just has such a great pop sensibility. She first lent her voice. I did a cover of, and probably not a lot of people know this, but Queen had a Christmas song that they did called "Thank God
I
It's Christmas."
I did not know this.
I stumbled upon it and I was like, "This is actually pretty dope." And I
Sweet.
did a cover of it, and she ended up I produced it with my friend Jack, who has been one of my producer collaborators as well, and her boyfriend, and
Okay,
she laying her vocals on the verse. Anyways, that's when I like first fell in love with her voice. But man, her music, she just released her song Relief. She's been doing like singles and a couple EPs, but really excited for her new project. She's LA based. Madeline, go check
cool.
her out. Who else am I listening to? Ben Kessler is another guy.
That sounds really familiar.
He's opening for Lizzie McAlpine now for her European tour.
Okay,
But I think they were like writing and making music together before she like really blew up, and he's like featured on one of her songs. But I've kind of been watching him and kind of dig what he's doing.
sweet.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I'll check them both out. I appreciate the Rex always.
Ooh,
Uh,
I have one more.
oh, hit me.
Victoria Canal. Victoria
What was that?
Canal.
Victoria Canal?
Canal.
Okay,
Yeah. She is an amazing artist. She's really got some great traction. She's collaborated, or at least like kind of been talking to and working with like Jacob Collier and Coldplay, like
oh,
Chris Martin.
sweet.
But I met her singing again. This goes back to my background singing in LA, but we met at the Oscars of all places
Oh, well, there you
in
go.
2020. So I kind of kept tabs on her ever since. But anyways, go check out Victoria Canal too. Her new music is just dreamy and
Awesome.
felt and awesome. Yeah.
Cool. I've got one more question for you, and
Yeah.
basically the question is for the person that is going to discover you from this, and for the person that is going to listen to your music for the first time, what is an opening message that you'd like to say to them?
Hmm. It's a great question. What do I want to say to someone who's listening to my music for the first time? I feel like my music is, I've described it before as like a hopeful melancholy, So I would hope that people get to experience like validation for their feelings, like feel less alone. But at the same time, I think there's always an element to my music where I don't like leave it in that like dark, sad place, but there's like an
Sure.
element of like hopeful, like looking forward optimism. So even a song like this, Long, Long Time, that's like, why do I think I'll be lonely for a long, long time? You like listen to the track itself is like kind of like bright and hopeful, even though the idea is sad. So I always kind of like like marry the two in some sort of way, or at least if one song lives in there, like I try and balance it out with another song, because that's just
Sure.
what life is like.
Yeah,
It's these ups and downs, and so I'm just trying to reflect that and hope that um yeah, it just helps people get through whatever they're getting through, happy or sad.
I love that. I think that's a great answer. And I want to thank you so much for taking the time to come on and speak. Let me please plug your music for you one more
Yeah,
time.
of
Uh,
course.
the artist name is Van Scott. The song name is A Long, Long Time. And we will have links in the articles that people can listen and share and follow along and do all that fun stuff. But sincerely, I am looking forward to whatever else comes out. Obviously, there's a ton more on the way, so I urge
Yeah,
people to follow along. And thank you. This has been
thank
great.
you. Yeah. Thanks, awesome.
You're very welcome, and I hope you have an amazing rest of your day and try to stay warm.
Thank
And
you.
yeah, I'll talk to you later.
All right. See ya.
See you later. Bye bye.